Welcome to Aging Insights. I'm Melissa Chalker, Program Manager of the New Jersey Foundation for Aging. Aging Insights is produced by the New Jersey Foundation for Aging to provide information and resources to boomers, seniors, and caregivers. The New Jersey Foundation for Aging's mission is to enable seniors to live with independence and dignity in their communities. Every month, we tell you that Aging Insights is brought to you by the New Jersey Foundation for Aging and remind you of our mission. But we wondered if you really knew what the foundation was or what else we do. So we thought we'd take this opportunity to give you some more details. In order to provide you with the best picture of the foundation, I'm joined today by three guests. The first of which should be very familiar to our viewing audience, Grace Egan, Executive Director of the New Jersey Foundation for Aging, who's also a host of Aging Insights. Our other two guests today are two of NJFA's hardworking board members, Mark Tabakman, the board chair, and Celeste Roberts, a longtime board member who is also a professor at the New Jersey City University. Thank you all for being with us today. I think it's a really great opportunity to let our viewers know just who is bringing them Aging Insights and why. So Grace, I did want to start with you and give our audience a little bit of history about the foundation and where it really came from. So can you give us a little bit of the backstory of how it came about?
Absolutely. The foundation really started in 1998, and it was started by 4 area agency on aging directors or county office on aging directors. And they really wanted to focus on some of the things that they weren't able to do within their current positions, which was to look at new funding streams for services that really would address seniors that had a change since 1965. They wanted to look at policy issues, and they really wanted to create a public awareness piece so that people really understand what aging is in New Jersey and what challenges that seniors were having.
And there was also in their hope that there would be some education provided to the public. Awareness is kind of what we call it now. And so that's kind of how some of our other activities came about, things like the conference. Is that correct?
Yeah, the conference, part of the reason for starting it was also to maintain high standards within the Aging Service Network. And so the area agencies on aging had participated in conferences early on, and so we wanted to maintain that. So this year we offered our 15th conference, really looking at policy issues and also looking at best practice issues that somebody who's working with seniors and caregivers on a regular basis might confront daily, so that we could offer them new services or policies that might make them more effective and efficient in doing their job.
Great. And so you mentioned that it was our 15th conference that the foundation put on, and for those who don't know, the conference is for professionals in the Aging Network. We host it annually, and you know, this is also our 15th anniversary as a foundation, which is quite phenomenal that come this far and done this much work. Do you think the founding trustees thought it would go this far and that we would accomplish this much?
Well, you know, the founding trustees, I think, had a vision, and I think we've maintained that vision, and I think we've stuck to the original principles. And I think along the way, we've gathered other trustees that have embraced the issue, and I think that really has enhanced the mission overall.
Sure. And one of the other really things that became part of what the foundation does is grant making. When did that really become a part of the foundation?
In 2000, we started the fundraising. Well, actually, we started grant making because we always started with an effort of fundraising. So in 2000, we released our first RFP, which is a request for proposals, and we started doing that. So since 2000, we've granted about $380,000. And really this, through all 21 counties, we've have supported a service, and this is about 44 grants that we've made. And the idea was not to replace current services. The idea was to deal with services that complemented and supplemented what was going on in the network. So they're unusual services. So for instance, we did English as a second language. We supported parish nurses. We've supported transportation programs. We've supported special situations when a service needs to be in the community, but there's no other way to do it, whether it was recruiting Latino volunteers to work with Latino seniors. So it's a real mix. There's no one set program that we've supported because we believe that local communities can really identify what their needs are. So we've tried to stay open and flexible
And that really gets back to the reason why the founding trustees felt there was a need for this, because they really felt that this was an opportunity for local communities to do something more, but they needed assistance and guidance, and that's where the foundation steps in.
Exactly. At the same time, we also wanted them to be sure to connect to the traditional service network. So we always wanted them to know what other services are in their communities, because no one service can really, and you'll probably hear more about that, no one service can really address all of the senior needs that we have.
Sure. Well, I think that's a great start on getting a backstory to what the foundation really is, and hopefully our audience is geared up to hear more as we continue the conversation. So thank you for providing the history.
Sure.
I'd like to switch gears now, Mark, and talk with you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. In addition to being our board chair, you're also a partner in labor and employment law at Fox Rothschild. And so we do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us today. You were recently elected our board chair, and we're very glad to have you. How can you tell us how you got involved with NJFA?
Yes, I can. It was a happy accident, actually. I was involved with an organization called the New Jersey Employer Council, and we had meetings, statewide meetings, and they were in Trenton. And at one of the meetings, Grace and one of the other, and a board trustee, gave a presentation at that meeting, and I was very taken with their presentation, because for me, the issue of aging, very personal. My grandmother and I, when I was a kid growing up in the Bronx, we were very, very close. And I used to visit her basically every day. And she was very lonely, and she used to sit by her window, just staring out the window and leading a somewhat aimless life, a life without independence. And I had always wanted to do something, to give something back in terms of the aging issue, whatever that means. And then when I saw that presentation, I think the next week I sent off a letter, I think, to Grace. And then I met with Grace and another board member to see if they'd want me or I'd want to become involved, which I did. And I became involved with the SEC, the Senior Executive Council, which is an adjunct committee, if you will, to the Board of Trustees. Served on that for a number of years. Then I ascended to the board. And just recently, as you mentioned, become elected chair of the Board of Trustees. It's a position I take very seriously. It's an honor that I take very seriously, and I look forward to serving to the best of my capacity in that role.
Well, we appreciate you in that role, and I think the reason you're in it is because, as I'm sure our audience can tell, you are very passionate about aging and about the Foundation's mission. So as we mentioned when talking to Grace, it is our 15th anniversary. What do you feel the impact so far in the first 15 years has been at the Foundation?
Well, I think we really have raised awareness of aging issues by geometric proportion. I mean, we're not a membership organization. We don't sell things. We don't sell discounted auto insurance or vacations, etc. We're really geared towards raising public awareness and public involvement in the issues that face aging people, and we're all aging. So I think we've really done that. Concomitant to that, and I think of equal importance, is that we've established relationships with a number of stakeholders and other organizations in the field and on the fringes of the field. So we're really, through that, establishing a network of relationships, I think that's doing tremendous work. Grace had talked about the kind of some of the grants we've given, and the breadth and variety of those grants and the organizations that we've sponsored just blow me away. We've given a grant to inner city elder gardeners, Camden, New Jersey, and I had, with you, Melissa, I had the opportunity to pay a visit to the elder gardeners. Incredible. In the midst of downtown Camden, a beautiful garden. But we've given money to a grant to the Intergenerational Orchestra, an orchestra composed of senior citizens, younger people. Again, it just does tremendous work. We've given a grant to, I think Grace mentioned, travel training to teach elders about transportation issues. And it's by sponsoring and partnering with these rather tiny, fragile organizations, we are not only increasing their viability, but we're also raising the public's awareness to this whole range of aging issues.
We've talked at board meetings, and you've, again, displayed a great amount of passion for a lot of these projects because you see with what the dollars we're able to give, the impact that it brings, as you said, not only to the organization themselves, but to the issue of transportation, the issue of seniors living in inner city areas. So it does bring awareness to those issues as well. And I think moving forward, a lot of these things will continue to impact what the foundation does as a whole. And at recent board meetings, we have talked about what New Jersey Foundation's impact will be moving forward. And we've talked about outlets like Aging Insights. So, and I know it's something that you're very interested in and that we do the program. So can you tell us why you think we should continue to do Aging Insights, or why people should be tuning in to Aging Insights?
To see me. I'm kidding. But Aging Insights is really a reflection of the foundation. It's done in a very low-key, conversational kind of a way. It's not done in a preachy kind of a way at all. And again, the breadth and variety of programs that have already been presented, I think we've presented a couple of dozen of these shows. We've done a show on healthy pets and healthy adults. We've done a show on utility assistance. We've done a show on caregiver resources, which is going to be in the next 15 years an issue of titanic proportion. We've done a show on credit and debt resources. We've done a show on senior housing. So in other words, through these shows and the kinds of topics that we touch upon, we're giving seniors and caregivers and baby boomers a large range of knowledge about different topics that are so varied from one week to the next that it's fun and it's informative.
Yes, and I think that's the theme there is really, again, the awareness and the information that we're trying to provide through these various outreach tools. So thank you for sharing all of that with us. And since we've talking about the issues and information that seniors might and their caregivers might want to know, I'd like to switch to our third guest, Celeste. Thank you again for joining us. As we mentioned at the top of the show, you are a professor at the New Jersey City University, and so we're glad that you've also been able to make time for us today, given your schedule. So we've talked about the history of the foundation, the involvement of the board members, and why we do what we do, and so that brings us to you to talk about some of these other issues. But before we do that, I would like for you to also share with the audience how you became involved with the New Jersey Foundation for Aging.
Yes. I attended a conference, a social work conference, and I met Grace. And I would say the rest is history. We talked, what she was talking about was very interesting to me and what I do. And I saw myself as a soon-to-be senior, and I thought that was something I'm very much interested in doing. And she had 2 trustees take me to lunch. And then I became a part of the SEC, as Mark did. And now I'm on the board, so it's good. And it's been fun.
Yes. Well, we are very glad to have you because all of our board members do add, a specific talent and uniqueness to the board and to the discussions that we have that really lead the organization. And, we often rely on you to help us keep a pulse on what's current and what's going on in the aging network. So can you maybe address some of the issues that are currently big for aging?
Well, some of the things that are happening there, there's really not one cookie cutter kind of thing. So we have as many areas of emerging interests and need as we have people. But we have caregivers, senior caregivers, who are giving care to their older children who are in need. They're children with challenges. And these children are living longer also. So that's quite a challenge. But we also have interest in doing things because seniors are not always in need. They want to break out and do something that they haven't done before. They want to add things to their list of achievements and run marathons and bungee jump and things like that. So a lot of times we miss those kinds of opportunities because historically when we study gerontology, a lot of the theories have come about because of people who are in pain, in need, or who are alone.
Sure.
But we have so many more now who are healthy and taking responsibility for their lives and their health early on. And I often tell people, you're going to live to be 100, act like it. You want to be healthy and to maintain the best health you can.
I think the point you make is a good one. There is not one face of aging, which is something that I think through our work we've come to recognize at the foundation. And you're right, a lot of the resources and information we provide might be geared towards someone who's suffering with a chronic disease or someone who might have a specific caregiver issue or is struggling to make ends meet. But there are also people on the flip side who, as you say, are forging a new face of aging. Particularly, we've talked in the past about boomers who maybe don't want to be referred to seniors, and there are some community organizations that are rethinking the name of their organizations because some boomers are reluctant to call themselves seniors. So I think providers and groups like us have to keep in mind that going forward, that there's not just one face to aging. So I think you make a great point. You've been instrumental in the past few years in helping us out with our conference, which we mentioned earlier with Grace. What do you think is the benefit of the foundation doing the conference, and why should people continue to attend?
Well, I do think we do get a chance to view some of the best practices, the presentations. And we have some dynamite speakers, keynote speakers, and workshop leaders. And they're on the cutting edge. They bring their research to us, and they are giving us something certainly to think about. No small part of that also is the networking. And we see some of the people that you've seen before, and you renew acquaintances and see how they're doing in their organizations and their practices. And then there are the vendors.
Yes.
Okay, so and then they give you information about what new services and products are around.
Sure,
so
sure. For people viewing who might not be familiar with the conference, in addition to the presenters who provide some of those best practice information, we do have vendors around the room who are various service providers who might be sharing with our audience at the conference some of their products or services so that they can become more informed. It's all part of the day and keeping people informed. We talked to Mark about the program we're on right now about Aging Insights and its importance in providing information to seniors and caregivers and boomers. But before we had Aging Insights, we had Renaissance, which is our publication that the foundation puts out. And it is, again, another tool for those same kind of purposes. What can you tell us about your opinion of Renaissance and your...
Well, it's very helpful, and it's very appealing. I get people who give me feedback about it spontaneously. I read this, or I saw this, or I'm going to follow this website, or I'm going to try this recipe, or I'm going to do something. So they're excited about it. I've shared it with my physical therapist.
Yes, I was going to say, I know recently you told me you shared it at a medical office, and and they were like, all of our patients should see this, right?
And then also with, some of them are my friends, and they are always referring to them, so it's good.
Yeah, it's a tool that we're glad to have, and we think the board is, very realizes the importance of providing the information to seniors and their caregivers and other folks that might pick up the magazine and learn something new from it. So again, we're glad to have you on board as a board member, and think you provide a lot of great assistance to us in that way. So I do want to switch again back to Grace now that we've talked about some of these emerging issues with Celeste and talked about there not being that one face of aging. Do you think that the foundation is really poised to move forward and address some of those specific issues?
Well, I think clearly you've heard that part of our PR work is really not only talking about what services are out there, but connecting people. And the overall mission of the foundation is to empower people to live in their communities with independence and dignity. And I think all of these pieces are connected to that. I think we did the elder economic study, so now we know what the cost is for seniors who are living in a one-bedroom apartment, seniors with a mortgage or without a mortgage. But more importantly, we know, due to our research, how many seniors are really struggling. And so, the idea of that connectivity piece is important. I think our goal is really to make communities friendly for all ages, because if it's friendly for a senior, it's friendly for everyone. And I think that that's where we will sort of see us advancing our work, because I think that's the important piece. It's not just seniors, it's everyone in the community having that connectivity and being able to be engaged, being able to have the mobility to get out, being able to get healthy food, and a variety of other things. So it's a very big picture, actually.
So you mentioned the New Jersey Elder Economic Security Index, which is a policy report that we, as the foundation, did put out. That's one thing we haven't really touched on through this, is that in addition to some of the other activities we've discussed today, the foundation does put out policy work and has done that pretty much since the beginning of the foundation.
Yes, actually, from the very beginning, because we wanted to focus on policy that was New Jersey relevant, because oftentimes our policy work that's done by others has really been guided by the federal dollar. And so we really wanted to make sure that we were touching on issues that were relevant to municipalities and county seniors, people living in
So what are some other topics besides economic security that the foundation has covered in policy reports?
Well, we have done helping caregivers to care. What were the burdens for, the barriers, for caregivers to really maximize what they could do for their loved ones. We've done a lot of work on transportation. We did the safe mobility at any age, again, any age, and the idea of looking at road design, looking at functional fitness, looking at driver ed programs, looking at community transportation. How, as a senior, if I don't want to drive anymore, how can I still get to where I want to go? How can I give up my keys? So these are important aspects, I think, of keeping people connected. And the Elder Economics Study, I think we've actually raised it to a higher level. It's not just a cost of living piece, it's determining how many people within certain counties, with all counties really, have difficulty. So it could be used as a planning tool for outreach and for addressing those seniors that are most vulnerable. The other thing the study does is it helps us be more financially responsible as we're aging. What will we really need? And so I see it as a boomer tool, and something that a middle-aged person can say, oh, that's what it costs now. What will it cost in 15 years? Am I prepared?
Right. And as Celeste said, talking to people who may be, thinking about someone older as being suffering from a disease or an illness and not being well, she's saying, plan to live to 100. And I think that makes sense financially as well. And I think it's something that's definitely come out of the Elder Index work. As Mark mentioned, we have a lot of great partners that we work with. And so I think it's also important when we sit down at a table with some other advocates that we have this information to offer and that we can share it and be part of the discussion. What are some of the other topics that have come out of that we've really been part of?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, and I didn't talk about partners. I mean, we had partners at the Voorhees Transportation Center at the Blaustein School to do all the transportation work. We've worked with Wider Opportunities for Women. So none of our work is really done in isolation. We work with all the county offices on aging. We have stakeholder groups, people that work in home health, because it's that input that really makes the research more meaningful. And so there's not an ivory tower issue. It really is from the grassroots up.
Sure.
So it's,
So we've talked about a lot of stuff that the foundation does, from policy work to the conference to the magazine to the show that we're on, and in general trying to provide and connect people to services and resources. So that seems like a lot of stuff. How do we keep that going? How do we make it happen?
well, we definitely work hard at fundraising.
Yeah, we often talk amongst ourselves that our issue is not an exciting one or a racy one. We're not rescuing pets, or we're not doing other kinds of things that might have more appeal, quote unquote, to donors. But everyone is aging. Everyone hopes they age. So really, even though it's something that people don't like to think about, it's something that we here on the panel are facing, that everyone is facing and hopefully will face. And so it's something that people should have some interest in. And once they understand more about the kind of work and the kind of outreach work that we do, hopefully they will want to support that work. And corollary to that, the baby boomer generation, which I think are people born from 1946 to 60, you know, a lot of those folks are turning 60, and the first boomers turned 65 a couple of years ago, and I think there are 60 million of them or 80 million of them, and that whole gigantic group, so many of them are in the sandwich category. They're raising kids, or their kids may be somewhat grown, and they're assisting older parents. Baby boomers, I think, of all people should really be hearing our message, and as I do. I mean, so.
I think that's right, and I would say probably, Grace, that we can't continue to provide that message without support.
True.
And so we do a lot of fundraising efforts, as you said.
We do. I think we have some corporations that we've reached out to. We have some family foundations. We have some large foundations that have been very good to us over the years. But it is truly a yearly effort that we have to do. We have to stay on top of it, and so that's what we, work very hard, and that's why we encourage people to go to our website. We encourage people to contact us about, how they can help, how they can get involved.
Great. Well, I'd like to thank you all again for being here with us today. I think we've provided a wealth of information to our viewing audience about what the foundation does. So thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you, Melissa.
So again, I would like to thank our guests for sharing their time with us today, and I hope that you at home learned about what NJFA does and why the foundation brings this program to you. To make donations to the foundation or to sponsor an Aging Insights program, you can go to our website, www.njfoundationforaging.org, or you can call us in the office at 609-421-0206. While you're on our website, please take a moment to fill out our online survey about Aging Insights. We want to remind you to find out about senior services in your area. Please contact your County Office on Aging, also known as a Aging and Disability Resource Connection. You will see a listing of their numbers on our website, or you can call the state hotline at 1-877-222-3737. Thank you for watching this episode of Aging Insights, and remember, aging is everyone's business.